Today we're going to talk about someone really special in the world of math, a true shining star. His name is Bonaventura Cavalieri, and his work changed the way we understand shapes and sizes. He's kind of like a superhero of geometry, and his big idea, called the method of indivisibles, was a huge step towards something you might have heard of: calculus. Cavalieri was all about exploring new ideas, and he wasn't afraid to challenge what people thought they knew. So, get ready to learn about this amazing mathematician, his awesome discoveries, and how he helped shape the future of math. Bonaventura Cavalieri was born way back in 1598 in Milan, Italy. We don't know everything about his childhood, but we do know he loved learning. He joined a group called the Jesuits, who were really big on education. They encouraged him to explore his interests, and he became fascinated by math, especially geometry. He loved reading the work of a famous Greek mathematician named Archimedes. Inspired by Archimedes, Cavalieri started thinking about infinity and how it related to shapes, which would later become super important for his work. Cavalieri was so good at math that his teachers arranged for him to learn from the famous scientist Galileo. This was a game changer for Cavalieri, and it helped him become the amazing mathematician he was meant to be. In 1621, Cavalieri got a really cool job. He became a math professor at the University of Bologna, one of the best universities in Europe. This was a big deal. He got to share his ideas with lots of people and talk math with other smart people. Cavalieri was an awesome teacher, and he inspired his students to love math too. He also kept researching and coming up with new ideas about geometry. But Cavalieri wasn't just about math. He was also interested in astronomy and optics, the study of light. He even supported Galileo's idea that the Earth goes around the sun, which was a pretty controversial idea back then. Cavalieri was a true scientist, always searching for the truth. Cavalieri really wanted to find a way to measure the area and volume of tricky shapes. The Greeks had figured out how to do it for simple shapes like circles, but more complicated shapes were a real puzzle. That's when Cavalieri came up with his brilliant idea, the method of indivisibles. Imagine slicing a shape into super thin pieces, so thin you can barely see them. Cavalieri said you could think of any shape as being made of tons of these tiny slices, like imagine a rectangle made of lots of lines or a cone made of stacks of tiny circles. Cavalieri thought that if you could add up the areas or volumes of all these tiny pieces, you could find the area or volume of the whole shape. Cavalieri's method of indivisibles was like a key that unlocked all sorts of math problems that had stumped people for ages. He used it to find the area and volume of all kinds of shapes, like parabolas, ellipses, and even 3D shapes. One of the coolest things he did was figure out the volume of a sphere, like a ball. He imagined it made of tons of thin, flat circles stacked together, and he added up their volumes to get the answer 4/3 PIR cubed. You might have learned that formula in school. Cavalieri also discovered a cool trick. If two objects have the same height and the same area at every level, they have the same volume. This is called Cavalieri's principle, and it's still used in geometry today. Cavalieri was more than just the indivisibles guy. He was a math all-star. He also did cool stuff with numbers, algebra, and trigonometry. He studied special numbers called perfect numbers and helped people understand logarithms, which are super useful for making complicated calculations easier, especially in astronomy and navigation. Remember his interest in optics? He studied how light and lenses work, which helped make telescopes and microscopes better. These tools were super important for scientists during the scientific revolution, a time of amazing discoveries. Not everyone loved Cavalieri's ideas right away. Some people thought his method of indivisibles wasn't quite right because it used really small numbers called infinitesimals, and they weren't sure those were real numbers. Plus, Cavalieri agreed with Galileo about the sun being the center of the solar system, which got him in trouble with the Catholic Church, who believed the Earth was the center. But Cavalieri didn't give up. He believed in his work and kept exploring math. His ideas were so important that they helped Isaac Newton and Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz invent calculus later on. Cavalieri is a super important figure in math history. He helped connect the old ways of doing geometry with the new, more powerful math of calculus. His method of indivisibles was like a bridge to the future of math. He inspired other mathematicians to explore infinity and really small numbers, which led to amazing discoveries that changed science and engineering forever. Today we still remember Cavalieri with Cavalieri's principle, a really important idea in geometry. People who design buildings and make computer graphics even use it. Cavalieri's story is all about the power of curiosity. He started as a kid who loved learning and became one of the most important mathematicians of his time. His method of indivisibles was a huge breakthrough, and it helped make calculus possible. Even though his name isn't as famous as Newton or Leibniz, his contributions to math are just as important. He's a true math hero, and his legacy lives on in the math we use today.